Unreal. Okay. So welcome all to our first interview. Unreal. Okay. So welcome all to our first interview of the new year. I'm joined here by JYellowl, and we are delighted to have him today. JYellowl is an Irish hip hop artist who studied politics in UCD and then went on to pursue music professionally for the past 3 years, I believe. And we're delighted to have you here. Featured on FIFA soundtrack for 2020. He's also put out his debut album this past year, which has now been listed for a Choice Music Award, which is very cool. So we're absolutely chuffed to have you with us today. And we've got a few questions to go through, so we'll get started. To begin, just how did you get into music in the beginning?
Well, I got into music. I've always been into music, like interested in. I've always had that interest and passion for it. My earliest memories are of making music and writing melodies and jingles and little scribbling little lyrics in my lyric books from when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8. Them years there, those formative years in school, I always had notes and notes of just lyrics and stuff. So I've always been into it, but I guess professionally, I decided to take it as a career when I was in sixth year, actually. But obviously, I was still in school, then I went into college. So it was kind of part-time, but not part-time. Like college was more the part-time thing for me. But then I was, my time was divided. We'll just say my time was divided because I had to obviously deal with all the commitments of academic work. And then I'd kind of be a musician by night and go to shows and stuff. And it was just a very, very turbulent time. But yeah, so I guess when I finished college, then I quit my job, my part-time job as well at the time. And that's what I mean when I say I've been doing it professionally, as in that's all I've been doing. But I've actually been doing it. I've actually started my career while I was in sixth year. But I just say professionally because for me, that's when I said I'm going to have to live off of music and I have no other stream of income. I'm just going straight to the deep end. I'm gonna have to swim. And that's how it all started.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's really cool, especially since you've been at it since sixth year. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on from that, are there any musical influences that have like guided you throughout your journey, or are there any at the moment that are like really standing out for you, or like that have inspired you along the way?
Yeah, for sure. I think from early on, people like Damian Marley, Fela Kuti, um, Sonny Ade, Harry Belafonte, because my grandma was so big on calypso when we were growing up. I grew up with my grandparents. So and then my dad trying to influence me with this 70s, 80s rock and roll, um, pop music and R&B, soul as well, blues, really into that as well. And then the reggae, obviously from the Jamaican heritage, came into it. Reggae dancehall, really big on like the likes of Supercat, Beanie Man, Yellow Man, all of them. So that was it was just a lot going on in my head, and I had such a love for it that I was able to identify similarities amongst genres. But the people that really stuck out for me would have been Fela Kuti, Damian Marley, and then when I got into hip hop, would have been Eminem, because he was actually the first hip hop album that I ever bought or ever got bought for me when I was like 6 or 7, I think. And that was what made me be like, because I loved Fela Kuti and Damian Marley and all that, or Bob Marley at the time. But then I noticed that while their music was so powerful, Eminem in his raps could say what would take them about 3 songs to say, because he just fit everything in a 16 bar verse and he'd say so much in that verse. And I found that so fascinating. So that's kind of how I got into rap and rhythmic patterns and putting my message, delivering my message within 16 bar verses, 32 bar verses, and just learning about hip hop. And I started studying it. I delved into old school hip hop, followed the likes of Rakim, Talib Kweli, people like that at the time. Got really into the UK scene as well, big into like Skepta, Kano, and them guys there, because it felt like I could relate to it. as well. I could relate to it more. So I spent some time growing up in the UK as well. And then especially when I moved to Ireland, I got really big into grime music for some reason. It was, yeah, I was real grime head at the time. So yeah, all of those kind of shaped my interest and molded my artistry into what it is today because I then learned more about myself through listening to other people and trying to actually emulate people I looked up to and match my, compare myself to them and try and do it, operate on the levels that they will operate in the likes of like J. Cole, big J. Cole fan. Damian Marley, I keep referencing him. But then even down to the Afro beats like Burna Boy, MI, sick Nigerian rapper. I just loved all these people. And they were, to me in my head, they were the creme de la creme. And I had to match up to them. I had to write verses that were as good or better than theirs. So I'd search their instrumentals and be like, I need to write a song that's better than what they did on this song with the same on the same topic. And that's how I used to challenge myself. But yeah, some of those lyrics are never to be referenced again. But
Only for your eyes.
but only for my eyes. But yeah, those are the kind of people that shaped my musical interest for sure.
Okay, cool. They're a nice wide range of artists, to be fair, and loads of different genres.
100%.
It's noticeable in your music, like it's so eclectic. So
Thank
you referenced that you lived in the UK for a little bit before coming to Ireland, and you also lived in Nigeria for a little bit when you were younger. How do
Yeah.
you think, like growing up in different cultures and different areas has influenced like your message and your sound, or how have you used it to your advantage?
I think it's a very I'm so much I'm so culturally informed just by design because first of all I was growing up in Nigeria with my Jamaican grandparents, which was already something to begin with.
Yeah,
Then moved to the UK, spent some time in London, spent some time in Kent, then moved back to Nigeria, went to school, a boarding school in a different part of Nigeria, completely different state, different culture, everything. And then eventually made the move to Ireland. So all of those things for me has given me a very informed perspective of the world. You know what I mean? And I think I've been able to understand cultural nuance and even just cultural context and known how different things are, life is interpreted in a different way in different societies. That's something I was very aware of early on. And,
mm.
there were the little things. Basically, status quo varied amongst cultures. Something I learned very early on as well. So just navigating through that was fascinating. It was difficult, but it was at the time. But looking back on it, it was actually such a character building experience. You know, what I mean, and an educational experience as well because it was, yeah, it just felt like I was learning and unlearning everything that I had, like at every stage of my life. I had to
Yeah,
like learn and unlearn or learn and adapt to what I already knew and everything. And I think that helped me in making my music because my subject matter then I can speak to all these different aspects of my being and my heritage and my upbringing as well. So I think that's definitely something I've used to my advantage and I will continue to use to my advantage because I'm able to relate with people, for instance, in Nigeria and relate to people here and relate to people in the UK and relate to people, you know. So it's definitely something I'm grateful for. And
hmm
yeah, I relish that to be honest.
it's really cool. You've got such a range of insights and like experiences to work off of. It's like especially noticeable in your music. It's unreal. Um,
Thank you, thank you.
um, and then just want to touch on maybe lockdown for a little bit. We won't focus too much. But how has your experience been, or how have you been creating during lockdown?
um, to be honest, even before lockdown was a thing, I kind of was on a self-imposed lockdown anyway, just because I like to spend a lot of my time just by myself, writing, recording, and all of that. So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary for me. I was just kind of doing what I already did, just I didn't have the external pressure of having the option to do something else. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no
I
distraction.
just, yeah, exactly. No distractions like that. So I've just been doing the same thing really. Writing, recording. It's how I keep saying. And it's habitual for me as well. So as it's as habitual as it is therapeutic. So I just kind of use that to get by. And yeah, it's been great. I've just been trying to not let it impede my progress too much. Still been doing things I want to do. Like last year, I still released the album in spite of
Mm.
there being a lockdown and not having any touring prospects, which has now been resolved by the way. Tour's been announced for October this year. So just kind of making sure the show goes on,
Mm.
no pun intended. That's just
Stay insane.
that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been
Unreal.
doing. So yeah.
And so you've kind of touched on like your creative process there in terms of like keeping your head down and coming up with lyrics or jingles. Do
Yeah.
you want to go through like your typical creative process, or like how like do you begin with lyrics, or how does it go for you?
Yeah, do you know what I love about it is that there's no typical process for me. That's the beauty of it so far. Everything is so random at times, but when I do try and make a an active effort, when I don't wait for myself to be inspired, kind of force the inspiration. I just kind of I learn about my own views about certain things and how I interpret my surroundings. I learn about that by just really analyzing my thoughts on certain issues and certain things that I see around me, having conversations. I listen to music and try and listen to instrumentals or whatever and try and find a way to express those thoughts lyrically
Mm-hmm.
in a way that sounds nice as well. And then I just kind of write according to that. That's kind of how that's how I do it when I'm trying to do it. Do you know what I mean? But most of the time, it honestly just comes. I could be driving and then I just see something and I think of something. I'm like, oh,
You're like,
nobody should do this, by the way. But then I'm like, oh, go to my notes and like start typing while I'm driving. Not advisable, but it happens. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
You
you
don't
have to
pick and
sneak the
choose when you
moment.
get inspired.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or I could be in the shower and then I have to cut my shower short because I need to go and write something down before I forget or use my voice notes or something like that. So really and truly, it just comes so randomly. I don't have a process. But I like it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But when there is, because when I do have a typical process, it becomes too methodical and formulaic. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of like it in this space that it's in right now where, you know, it just pops up randomly to me and
Yeah,
just, yeah.
that's a
So
bit more
that's
fun. You don't know when it's going to hit as well.
exactly. Don't know.
What's going on? Cool. So you mentioned your album came out at the start of 2020. Congratulations, by
Hmm.
the way. It's
Thank you.
excellent. And
Thank you.
I read in a former interview that you had planned to release, or one plan was to release the songs month by month to give them their
Yeah.
own time and their own stage. So how
Yeah.
do you think, with the way 2020 went, how do you think that has changed how people are interacting with your album, or the response or the experience of it?
Um, I don't think I could have ever predicted the response it got. You know what I mean? As soon as it dropped, it was number one on the iTunes charts, hip hop number two overall album charts. I couldn't have expected that, you know what I mean? Especially everybody who advised me to wait until the lockdown was over to release it. And I was like, don't know when it's gonna be over. I can't just hold
Mm,
myself back
wait, yeah.
like that, you know what I mean? Um, and also a big part of me releasing the album was um me missing live shows so much. So I kind of made up for not being able to perform by releasing music. And even before the album, like I dropped so many singles beforehand and just how people were interacting and engaging with that, it kind of filled that void of not being able to perform for people and, have that whole multi-sensory experience of hearing the music and seeing it being interpreted in live performance. So I enjoyed that and I really was looking forward to that. Every time I released a song, I wanted to release the next one because I wanted that engagement again. I wanted people to
Yeah.
feel that, feel my presence in that way. So yeah, it's been good. I know some people would say it's better because people have more time to listen and everything. I think that I definitely felt that when the album came out because I don't know what it would have been like anyway, like without lockdown, but I think just the in-depth reactions I've got and
Yeah.
analysis of the album that I've got from listeners, that's been beautiful. And it's something that really floored me over the release of the album and just seeing how people respond to it, what certain songs meant to certain people, what kind of emotional response it brought out of people and everything. And even hearing what people's favorite songs, favorite lyrics were, all those kind of things really just made my heart full, you know? So I think I don't know what it would have been like without the lockdown, but
Mhm.
I think that's definitely something that, you know, I noticed. Maybe it would have been the same. Maybe people just pay more attention to my music these days. Who knows? Or music in
Yeah,
general.
hard to
Yeah, so
say.
hard to say.
It's gotten a great response anyhow, especially with the Choice Music Prize
Yeah.
nomination. How do you feel about that?
That's that fits into the same category of I couldn't have predicted or expected that, especially with so much music being released and we had so many great albums from the island, and it was such an honor, really, being acknowledged amongst such great, other great artists as well, such great bodies of work. I think, yeah, I had no words. The first time I was actually on holiday, I was in Nigeria at the time when I got the nomination, and I kind of got it through a Twitter tag. Like I didn't, they didn't. I just saw I
Very
got tagged
formal.
on Twitter. Yeah, I got mentioned on Twitter by RTE Choice Music Awards. I was like, "What's this?" And I saw it. I was like, "Oh, crazy!" And then I got the email from my PR. She was like, "Yeah, congratulations, rah rah rah." I was like, "Oh, crazy." I
That's
didn't know how to take. I didn't know how to respond. I was just like, "Oh wow!" I showed everyone around me, and everyone went crazy. Like, oh my god! And then I think
celebration.
it took me a couple of days to actually process what happened. I was like, yo, I just created the best body of work that I could. And people are recognizing it for that. And that's, you know,
Yeah.
pat on your back, that kind of
It's
way.
an amazing acknowledgement. Yeah. Fingers crossed
Yeah.
for the, I think it's the 2nd or the 4th of March. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Fingers crossed.
excited.
Fingers crossed. Let's see.
So I want to move on to the themes in your music and stuff because you write very socially conscious lyrics.
Mm.
And I just wondering if you wanted to discuss like uh, is that important for you, or is that kind of something you go into a song with in mind, like you always want to have a specific message, or just in general about how strong your messages and themes are?
Yeah. I guess it is something that is important to me, but at the same time, it's something that I don't obsess over. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like because I think a stigma that I've been trying to, well, not necessarily a stigma, but just kind of a presumption about JYellowl music that I've been trying to get out of is that, oh, he has this politically charged message. He's the political rapper, he's a socially conscious rapper, etc.,
Okay.
etc. But honestly, really and truly, I don't give out any political message or I don't show any political agendas in my music. I just I just express my views on certain issues that resonate with me, you know what I mean? Or that
Mhm.
I feel compelled to write about, talk about my music. And that could range from anything, you know what I mean? It could be more serious um topics like racism that I do, which is something that is so close to home, which is why I keep um it's a recurring theme in my
Yeah.
music. It could go from that to just when I'm just feeling good and I want to express on a track that I'm just what's happening, what is making me feel good, and who am I with. I want to talk about my friendship. I want to talk about my relationships. I want to talk about things like that. And I think all of those things, because I'm so conscious of making my music true to self and keeping it authentic, it is classified conscious music technically because it's about
You and your
it's
yeah.
about me and my experiences exactly. But it can range. What I'm trying to say is basically it can range from anything to anything. There's no,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because as much as like we're such a multiplicity of selves, you know what I'm saying? So I go as much as I can be this serious minded scholar, I can also be this childish, braggadocious,
Yeah.
fun having person as well. Do you get me? So I want to express all of that in my music. And I want people to just experience me as a whole as opposed to just a part.
This part of you. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this
Yeah,
perspective. Sweet. Okay.
sure.
And so you kind of touched on how racism features a bit in your music and stuff. I just wanted
Hmm.
to discuss, have you ever, or what's your perspective on like discrimination, possibly racism within the hip hop scene in Ireland or in England, or any, like, how have you perceived it in Ireland in the current times?
Mm, I don't know. I think it would be unfair of me to say that I have experienced it in like directly experienced it in the hip hop scene or in music scene in general, because I think I've been treated very fairly,
Okay.
and I think here there is a meritocracy in the sense of if you're good, you'll get recognized.
Yeah, you
You know what
deserve.
I mean?
Yeah.
You deserve to get recognized. So that's something that I'm grateful for sure, and I'm
Okay.
happy that we have that mindset in the music industry.
Yeah.
However, I know that other people have experienced things or have expressed to me that they've experienced certain things or they felt they've been treated unfairly either because they were black or because they were a woman or because. So I guess I can only speak from my experience, having not, what I mean, I can only speak from my experience. I haven't personally felt like that. I guess
Mhm.
the only thing that I've sort of contended with is the whole concept of relatability. Do you know what I mean? Which is something that's
Yeah.
been brought to my attention multiple times where I'd see my peers or my indigenously Irish peers or white peers who get more of a reaction from crowds or something
Yeah.
because they'd be more relatable to the audiences. And I never felt I wouldn't really call that discrimination. That's just what it is. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? As a general rule of thumb, someone, I'm not gonna name any names, but someone of that archetype would be able to relate more to the general population of Ireland, you know?
Hmm.
Um, the same way that they wouldn't be able to relate to people of kind of my situation as well as I can. You know what I mean? It's just what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. So I don't really take that as I don't really call that discrimination or anything. It's just that's something that I've seen and
Yeah.
I can attest to. But in terms of all the other stuff, I know there's statistics that show, um, especially I guess like Irish women on radio, the disparity between Irish men and
Yeah.
Irish women on radio.
Yeah.
There's statistics that show that and just coverage in general. So I guess that is something that needs to be,
Properly
you
addressed.
know,
Yeah.
understood and kind of sorted out. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Still a lot to be
But
sorted out.
yeah, there's a lot to be
um,
sorted out.
so sticking with the Irish hip hop scene, like, it's been like roaring for the past few years, or like increasing with the amount of engagement and just the amount of talent coming out. And so, how's that experience been for you? And how is the like the almost the culture and just the like camaraderie of that scene? Like, how's that affect you as an artist?
Mm. You see, my situation is a bit kind of different. I don't really feel like I have that many friends in the hip hop scene or even the music industry in
Okay.
general. You know what I mean? There's kind of one or two. Like a lot of it is just like um face level friendship. You get me?
Yeah.
Surface level friendship. It's not really like wouldn't really consider anyone my my pal or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think but what it is there's a mutual respect. I think, which is all I think is necessary. I guess everyone just
Hmm.
being respectful of everyone's space and skills and everything, and just like not just giving everyone their fair dues. You know what I mean? I'm all for that. I think the camaraderie is something that a scene could really benefit from, especially if you study trends and other scenes like the UK music scene, UK hip hop scene specifically. You see how camaraderie really bolstered
Yeah.
bolstered things for them. Exactly. So it's because you have people jumping on each other's tracks just because they spend so much time together in studios and etc. So there's so much collaboration going on, and because of that collaboration, there's so much more output for the scene as a whole, and gains way more attention. You have people opening up for people at other people's shows, bringing other people to open up for
Yeah.
people's shows, and there's just so much going on, and that's what grows the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people bringing other people through, like they might spot a friend who's talented, and then they just give them a chance because they can, and then they give them the opportunity to record a song and jump on a song and perform at their shows, and da da da, and then all of a sudden that artist becomes established, does that for someone else, and etc. You know what I mean? We need
Yeah.
that. I think we really need that, um, for sure, if we want everything to grow the way everyone is kind of projecting it to grow. And so it's definitely something we could benefit more from.
Hmm.
I'd like to think that's something that's changing. I've been, making more friends in the hip hop thing since the album and everything. And I had, some good
Yeah.
people out there. And I guess it's just about making it making it translate in the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's not just have this mutual respect. Let's actually work towards building the scene.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of potential there, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
So you touched on collabs there. Are there any dream collabs you have, or like that you've always just been like, I want to work with this person at some point in my career or anything like that?
Dream collabs. J. Cole, Lauren Hill,
Cool.
Burna Boy, Dave. I have so many dream collabs, like so many people I'd love to work with. And then I guess some point down the line, I'd love to work with you too, just because I just feel like at some point that'll just be something iconic.
That'd be
Hopefully
cool.
not too far. Yeah, at some point when the time is right, I feel like it
It'll
would just be it'll be heavy. You know what I mean?
look
Yeah,
forward to it.
100%. Yeah, there's so many.
Sweet. Okay. So just a last few couple of questions. You just released your video for your song Home this week.
Yes.
Wondering how was that experience? Because you filmed it with all your family and friends. It must have been unreal.
Yeah, that was the best video shoot I've ever had, you know what I mean? And it was so emotional just because I hadn't been back home in like 7 years, and I kind of started this musical journey like around that time as well, six,
Hmm.
7 years ago. So I guess while everyone kind of knew from a distance, oh yeah, Jean Luc is in Ireland doing music, and he's doing pretty well and da 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 da.
Yeah.
They didn't actually experience it firsthand. I guess just the whole experience of me being there, shooting a video, them seeing what it takes. Like that was a 12 to 14 hour day shoot. You know what I mean? So they actually saw like this is not just, this is not just a joke thing. And people, they saw me in the studios, they saw me experience me getting nominated for album of the year while I was in their presence. So it was something that they got to actually see firsthand, especially my dad and my grandma. And they were so chuffed and just so full of pride and joy. I was so happy that I got to share that experience with them and bring them that experience also. Um, in a way, shoot that video and immortalize my family through my music in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like the locations that we shot in my family home, my grandma, that's where I grew up. You know what I mean? Um, then my uncle's house, the village house with the pool and everything. That was just such a great vibe, just even having everyone down there, just enjoying ourselves, having a good time, going back to grandma's place. She's doing what she always does, bringing food
Yeah.
for the whole
It looks amazing.
everybody on the road, like
Yeah.
everybody and their neighbors. Everyone had food. Like she made sure we're all good, made sure the energy levels were high. She's entertaining us. She's dancing with us. She's being really involved. You know what I mean? And that was just so. It was just so heartwarming, man. My heart was so full shooting that video for sure. I just, like I said, being able to show them that experience and let them experience me as I am now, and hopefully
In the
as I
future.
will be
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
future as well.
It's an amazing video. Well done. It's really nice to see
Thank you,
family
thank
and
you.
stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
So yeah, just to wrap up, kind of any plans for the future, or what you future what do you hope for the future, and like post Corona, fingers crossed? Are there any big plans in the works?
Yeah, well, post Corona, fingers crossed. You have the tour in October, kicking off in Belfast,
Yeah.
Limelight, then Galway at Roisin Dove, and then Opium Dublin. Yes, so very excited,
Yeah.
very excited for that, because my ideal situation obviously would have been to release the album and then tour like the month after or something like that. That would have been ideal for me. But actually, the way things have played out, I think it actually works, because I'd kind of be celebrating the first year anniversary, just a bit shy of the first year anniversary of the album with everyone else. You know, after we've just had this crazy experience with lockdown, crazy experience with the coronavirus, and yeah, it would just be a celebration for everyone, and being able to celebrate it with people who, you know, vibe like the music enough to buy tickets.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You get me? So I'm very excited for that. And what else? I'm just releasing music. So much more music coming. We have so many more things, works, campaigns, videos, all of that. Just more of the same, but better. That's
Always better, always improving.
always better for sure.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna quit recording.